on? Yes. Welcome to Art of Sound for spring 2024. To start us off, we have a man named Jeff Gunn, who hails from Toronto, Canada. And he's just on a bit of a tour around the world. Where were you playing? You said you'd come in from Singapore, you'd been in Thailand, in Bangkok. He's been all over. He's a guitarist, musical director, songwriter, educator, co-wrote and co-produced Emmanuel Giles' Juno-nominated album, The Key, contributed over 100 articles in print and film with magazines, including Acoustic Guitar Magazine, Guitar World, Keyboard Magazine, Canadian Musician, and National Geographic. Co-wrote the song Scars with Jarl and Nelly Furtado, Warner Brothers film The Good Lie. More recently designed and filmed online guitar modules for jamplay.com, TrueFire, served as content creator in music and history for TVO. I think that's enough. I think they'd rather hear from you than me. Please welcome Jeff Gunn.
Thank you very much. I'm very excited to be here today at Western Sydney U and to return to Sydney after a 7-year hiatus. Really great to be back. I was online about 3 years ago and a really fun workshop with the students, but it's good to be here in the flesh. So thank you for coming today. And today I'm going to be sharing some different tunes on solo guitar. I kind of, as a guitar player, occupy like two worlds. One, backing singers and playing in bands. I work with a lot of African artists in Toronto, and we do a lot of different Eastern African styles and reggae and rock and everything mixed, but also the other half of my life is just playing on my own and kind of going around and sharing storytelling through the guitar. That first song that I played is called Starlight, and the harmonics are meant to capture this picture of the stars. I wrote it following a trip through West Africa. I took a motorcycle ride from Sierra Leone to Liberia, and just seeing all the stars and trying to capture that moment. And I like to use harmonics a lot in my playing, as not just as decorative devices, but as the melody itself. So a lot of the songs I use today will feature the harmonics up front and supporting that. Is there any guitar players in the house? Anyone? Couple? Yeah, awesome, good. And there will be some prize giveaways at the end today too. I got some cool shirts from Gunn, which is a Canadian guitar company, and D'Addario strings and some chocolates as well too, for those of you who like chocolates. I'm going to carry on now. And I'm going to play a tune called Candle Lanterns. I spend a lot of my time in Canada, but I also live in Thailand part-time and do a lot of music with Thai artists and things like that. So this song is called Candle Lanterns. It uses a technique called harp harmonics, which I'm sure a lot of you have heard of. And it's meant to capture the thing called the Bong Fai Festival, which is a festival when they send off like tens of thousands of candle lanterns into the night sky. I went about 20 years ago when I just got done university, so it's a song I've been working on for some time. It's called Candle Lanterns. Thank you very much. I played that last week in Thailand at the Bangkok Guitar Fingerstyle Guitar Festival. I've been into, I guess we call the genre modern fingerstyle for the last X amount of years, and got to play some really great shows, opening for amazing Australian musician last summer, Tommy Emmanuel, who I've met a few times. He's a wonderful and very encouraging to younger musicians. And those that are kind of making their way through. He's a really great guy. And it was a real honor to open for him. And meet some of the greats in the field and a lot of the younger players coming up too. There's a real sense of community between the players in that genre. So it's really great to be part of that. I'm going to move on now, and I'm going to play a song, very simple melody, but it's called Song for Peace, and I think it's more relevant now than ever, given a lot of things happening in the world. So very simple melody, but really really enjoyable to play. So Song for Peace. Thank you. I'm going to move on to a tune called Beginnings. And this song here, after I tune, uses our harp harmonic melodies mixed with percussion. And I play a nylon string guitar. I do play steel as well when I'm working with singers and backing them. But for most of the solo stuff, I use nylon string. This is a Gunn guitar. It's a Canadian company. And they have really cool miking thing that's underneath here to kind of capture all the different percussive sounds. Most of the people in the percussive realm kind of use like steel string acoustic. So it is rather unique to use the nylon string. Gives you a different set of tones that you can use and things like that. So this tune's called Beginnings. Thank you very much. And that tune's called Beginnings. If you like any of these tunes, my Instagram is Jeff Gunn 1, and I'll follow you back. It's JEFFGUNN 1. And my YouTube channel is Gunn Jeffrey. So I put all the videos on there. Sometimes shoot some videos playing and stuff like that, and other times just put up a still image. But I find the videos do a lot better than the still image overall. That song was actually just about different times in your life when you go through different waves of momentum and just have different seasons in your life. I've had a few, and even being here today, it's been a real pleasure because one of my dear friends, Rob Woodward, who's at the back there, who plays saxophone and clarinet, will be joining me a little later today. I may not be here if not for him, because we know each other for about 20 years probably, something like that, through music. So some of the friendships that you make here at university as well, you might carry on for your whole life, and you never know when you'll run into each other again many years later. I'm going to carry on. This tune here was written following a trip to Kyoto in Japan, and I was there a few weeks ago playing a show actually, and usually every show I invite like another local musician to come up and jam with me on a song that's very simple to play over, and he brought up his shamisen, and we jammed over 2 songs. This song called Japan 2 and another song as well, which Rob will join with me later. So this tune's called Japan 2. Thank you. If you like that one, I recorded it with a violin player, a really great violin player from California, and actually any Shawn Mendes fans out there, I do a lot of recording with his drummer who tours with him for the last 8 years or whatever. A lot of great musicians from Toronto. And we do a lot of performances together at the NAMM show in California and the music industry show and all that. But he usually plays cajon on this tune with violin and guitar, and the three of us kind of play shows sometimes. Lots of fun as well. To hear it in the context with the violin playing the melody with you and all that, it's a lot of fun. I'm also very interested as a guitar player in different tones you can get, like a harp kind of tone over here versus almost like a koto type tone, or a shamisen kind of tone back here. So on your own instruments too, those of you who play guitar, thinking about how you can get different tonal centers when you're playing is very useful. Even when you're playing with like a singer in a pop context, if the song uses a lot of similar types of progression, often I will play maybe like a ukulele type tone here, and then later on move to the center, more full tone for the choruses and things like that. Just thinking like that is quite useful, I find. I'm going to move on and play another tune. This one also uses a string kind of percussion. One of my hobbies that I like to do is go to science talks, and not just for the free pizza that they used to have when I was an undergrad student back in Toronto. They'd bring in people from NASA and stuff to give talks, and all the students would get free pizza, which is a bonus. But I was always been inspired by astrophysics, and even as a musician, trying to get creative using harmonics and stuff. So this song is very simple. It's called Discovery, but it was inspired, and I actually played it earlier this year in Toronto. They had a symposium where they brought in an astronaut who'd been to space, Dr. Jeffrey Hoffman, and I got to do an opening set with like 5 songs that were all inspired by space, my love of space at the symposium. It was really cool, and then to meet him as well, who actually got to go to space, was a real treat. So this one's called Discovery, and it uses a little bit of percussion and natural harmonic melodies. Thank you. I remember last year when playing with Tommy Emmanuel in Bangkok, Thailand at the M Theater. I was doing my sound check and he walked out and he's like, "Hey Jeff," and I turned around and he had his guitar, so we actually jammed together, which was a real treat. But the reason I'm telling you about him is because I've never seen someone before, whether you or not you've heard solo guitar before or not, to see him play just like won the crowd over in one song. A lot of my relatives, my family is also from Thailand as well, my wife's family. So I brought them all to the show, and some of them had never really heard solo guitar before, and they loved it after that, the energy. So I find that song I just played for you, particularly if I play for high school students or younger students, they tend to kind of like that one because it's a bit more like a dance track almost. And I have worked with, in the past too, with DJs, where you have live guitar, DJ, and a saxophone player, the three of us, different settings. I think in my music, I've always kind of strived to find different sounds out of the guitar, whether it's solo guitar or different musical contexts. So I also encourage you to do the same for the students in the house. And it keeps it interesting as well too. When I was younger, I did like classical guitar music and rock a lot. I still love those styles and a lot of jazz as well. But as I kind of progressed, I spent a lot of time in Africa, and I learned a lot of the West African styles as well of playing. And a lot of them were playing this guitar actually. I noticed that all my favorite guitar players had a Godin, an nylon string Godin. I'm like, wow, I want to get one of those. It sounds so cool, the different tones you get out of it. And it's so versatile, too, as a guitar. Next week, I'll be playing with an artist called Emmanuel Jal in Toronto and Vancouver. And he does East African kind of music, and I use this for a lot of the songs as well in a different context. I'm going to go ahead and do a tune called Earth Chime. This one's rather challenging to play. It uses percussive natural harmonics to tell the story. And it basically, you're tapping the metal fret bar for those guitarists in the room. It's called Earth Chime. Thank you very much. That one's really fun to play. It takes a lot of practice too, leading up to that. But being a musician audience, I'm playing some numbers that I wouldn't necessarily play if I was playing to a crowd that maybe didn't play guitar as much. I'm going to invite my good friend Rob up now just to jam on a tune. This tune's called Universal Jam, and it'll just be a real kind of simple melody and some interesting changes. And feature my dear friend Rob on saxophone and clarinet too, he brought. So. And I don't know if someone could get a picture of us playing, if you could send it to me after, because this would be a real treat, having known each other for a long time. So I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you, guys. And thanks, Rob, for coming on. Great to reconnect. We probably hadn't played together for about 16 years, so that was a real treat to perform together again. Really nice. I'm going to just close out with one more tune, and then I think we got 10 minutes or something for a little Q&A if you have any questions. I got lots of stories to share with you, and just about guitar stuff, and just working as a musician in different aspects or different parts of the industry. This tune's called Wonder, and there's a video for it on YouTube. If you like it, please subscribe. It's Gunn Jeffrey, and my Instagram too is Jeff Gunn 1, and I post a lot of different stuff up there, writings and concerts and solo guitar stuff and everything. But this tune's called Wonder, and it was written basically about when you're a kid and the world's, you're curious about everything, and the world's exciting, and as you go through different times in your life, to just try to remember to keep that curiosity in the world and the wonder of the world. So this tune's called Wonder. Thank you so much, and it's been a real pleasure to share some music that I've written over the years, and in this particular style. I've also done a lot of songwriting in the pop world with different artists in Canada and Thailand as well, I might add. But it's pretty fun to I like to think of it as storytelling through the instrument, and I find the genre really exciting. I started as a solo guitar player many years ago. I was doing mostly like Beatles covers, and I would do jazz standards and things like that as a solo guitarist. And then I found the percussive thing really exciting in the last X amount of years. Guys like Andy McKee, who really brought the song Drifting on YouTube, really, although he wasn't the first, he really changed the genre and opened up a whole new world. Going to this guitar festival in Thailand last week, there was kids that were like 7 years old playing that song, which I certainly could not play at that age. And it's really encouraging to kind of see the evolution of the instrument, I think, going new directions. I've always personally really liked a lot of players like that kind of push the boundaries of what's possible on the instrument. and write the music and things like that. So it's been a real pleasure to perform for you. Is there any questions at all? I know there was a Q&A planned to end, so I'm not sure if anyone has any questions at all, or even if you want to come talk to me after, I'd be really glad to meet you. So, yeah.
Lovely stuff, Jeff. So nice to hear you play.
Thank you.
I'm just looking at your pedal boards. One's obviously a looper,
Yeah.
used for one track. The other board I can see you use. I'm just wondering if that has to do with the processing of the tone of the instrument, or what it might be, and to what, I mean, the instrument sounds beautiful. Is it just the instrument itself, or is it something you're doing with processing, or what's going on?
Right. Well, I've always been a minimalist when it comes to playing. I got a vibe lesson a long time ago, and I was like in my early 20s from a veteran like jazz player from New York City. He's like, doesn't matter what the equipment is, just make it sound like yourself and bring your own magic to it. So I haven't really liked to use that many pedals in this kind of style. I use the looper occasionally for some songs. Sometimes I play a different format. If I have the violinist with me or the cajon player, I don't really use it that much. But when I'm on my own, I will occasionally for some songs. But the other one's called an acoustic gig. It's Carl Martin pedal. It's very simple, from Denmark actually. And it comes in handy. You can add a little bit of your own reverbs and a hint of delay and things like that. But I'm also open to just playing straight through the PA with a little bit of reverb. The simplicity of that I love as well too, in terms of bringing out different tones of the guitar. I do add a little bit of reverb and a little bit of delay just to kind of thicken it up a little bit, little bit of compression as well. On that pedal, but that's probably the best one I've seen available in terms of a single pedal where you can go to any sound system in the world and it sounds pretty good. And one of the reasons I travel with it, because I don't have that much room in the suitcase to bring them. My wife was traveling with me for the first half when we were playing shows in Japan and Taiwan and Samoa and those places, but now she's with her family in Thailand, so I had to be really minimalist when I brought the pedals. And even the looper, I don't use that much. But the other one I found comes in really handy. It's very petite, but it also can you can tweak it to the sounds that you like. And so, yes, I'd say that basically. Also, this guitar sounds quite different from a steel string. Being a nylon string has a different tone. Like I said, most of the people that play, like there's a label called Candy Rat Records. I got a couple of guest releases with them, that last song I played, but another one too with the violin player and a cajon player I was telling you about earlier. We put a song out on that. It's an indie boutique label from the States, and there's another one called Fret Monkey Records. And releasing a lot of stuff with them. I think I'm the only nylon string guitar in that genre. There's probably more for sure, but most of them are steel string players, most of the friends that I have. And I record my projects with a lot of those guys too, because I really like the sounds and tones they get out of the guitar. And it's really nice to be part of that community. So, any other questions? Yes?
Can I ask back up about travelling? We've all heard the song Delta Breaks Guitars.
Right.
How do you take this on the plane with you, or do you put it downstairs? What's your...
Right, that's a great question. I don't want to ruin my luck, but I'll say I've been very fortunate. No damages to this guitar. I bring a soft body case, and I can show it to you after if you want. But it's a soft body case, and I usually put it in the overhead. It'll fit on top of luggage. It's cushioned, so even if there's like a bag that pushes against it, it's protected inside. That's how I've been traveling. Sometimes I have to put it under, but if I put it under, I usually have like books and socks I put around the guitar in case. But the case is really good, actually. The case has been good. I've never had it, knock on wood, haven't had any problems with damages to the guitar on this one. I do have a more high-end one I keep at home, and this is my traveling one. This is a Godin Multi-Act Encore. They have the Multi-Act series, which in my opinion is for nylon string that has hybrid where it could be acoustic and electric. It's my favorite brand for sure. Not just because it's Canadian, but also I think the quality and the sound is quite nice. It's a very versatile guitar. And in terms of traveling, yes, I've done it the last maybe 10 years. Before, I used to just put the hard case under I had a classical guitar and electric guitar I would travel with. Before 2008, say, but then after that, I've been using this and the Fender Strat. Even for the Fender Strat, though, I have a soft body case, so it fits over top. a lot of airlines in North America, they have to let you put it, to my knowledge, in. It was a legal case a few years ago, maybe following that Delta song or something like that, where they have to actually find space for it. But not everywhere in the world. Some places over in Asia had to put it under and just kind of hope that it didn't get damaged. But it's a pretty good case, soft body, and most people respect it when it says fragile, I'll say. So yeah, I haven't had any issues. Yeah. Any other questions at all? Or comments or anything? Yes. Oh, my favorite technique for me, I've been obsessed since I was a student actually with harmonics, and I kind of see it as opening a whole other world, a whole other universe, if you will. If you think of the multiverse, for example, it's like another universe of sound, because everything you do, everything you play, like a G chord, could be turned into harmonics. It can all be played. And then if I played it here, it's no movement at all, but I've got two different sounds, depending if I go up 10 frets or 12, 7 frets or 12, or I could go 5. So if you did something like... And I've also used this in a context with one of the rap artists I work with back in Canada. We had a song that went like this. And then the beat came in. And I went on electric guitars after that. I've always trying to find cool spots to fit those in too. Originally, the players that really inspired me with harmonics were Lenny Burrow, who's a Canadian jazz guitar player. He was friends with Tommy Emmanuel and Chet Atkins and that kind of family of guitar. He was like virtuoso. He had an untimely passing, but he did a lot of harmonics work. And my mentor that I studied with when I went to jazz school was a guy called Lauren Lofsky, who was really into harmonics too. And that really got me into it in the jazz sense of decorating chords. But in more recent years, like I was saying, I'm kind of interested in how that becomes the melody itself, where you can actually make the melody, the harmonics, and then shape the song around that. But definitely it's one of my favorite things. But I'm always looking for kind of new sounds, and I like to work with artists too that kind of give you that freedom and creativity to kind of explore the instrument too, where you have the live. I always looked at like recorded music and live music like film and theater. You know, anything can happen when you play a song live, the nuances you put to it, but the recording's locked in time. And just like a film, I mean, it can be read in different ways, but I kind of see it like that, you know. So harmonics, to get back to your original question, harmonics is definitely one of my favorite things to kind of work with, definitely. Thank you. Anything else? Yes?
Are they the hidden sounds in your tour title?
Yes, I had about around 2012 in Canada, I wrote a book series. It was using a lot of different things that I kind of used in my music, like muting. Did a whole chapter on muting, a whole chapter on simulating sounds of other instruments, thinking of different tonal centers, a whole chapter on natural harmonics, a whole chapter on harp harmonics, artificial harmonics, and then percussive harmonics, and got me into that. So if you're interested, you know, it was carried across Canada in our store called Long McQuaid, which is, I'm not sure what they have in Australia. It's like the Guitar Center in the US. There's about 70 stores, and I used to tour around and give clinics with them on particular things like that, based on the series. I do have PDFs and willing to give you a discount and email them to you. If you want the hard copy, actually, I do have some here too, if you're interested in getting it. I did bring it with me. So yeah, basically that series is kind of like a workshop series that I go around and do. And I've also got a lot of different albums that I've recorded with Nelly Furtado, and I've recorded with Emmanuel Jal as my main guy. He's like he's kind of, he was a child soldier turned rap artist, but he has a lot of East African elements, and he does spoken word poetry, and he sings, and he does a little bit of everything. So it's a really fun gig to play, actually. I've been his music director for like 14 years and designing the shows. And if you know like the World Cup song, Waving Flag, and all those tunes from like a few years back, we get to work with there's a lot of like African artists in Toronto, so definitely into that scene, which is another way of playing guitar too, which is a lot of fun. Yeah. Thank you. Anything else? I'm not sure if there's anyone else. But
one of the things about the degree here, which I think is really special, is that composition's a really big part of it, and everyone has to compose at some point.
Right.
And I wondered if you just wanted to talk about your compositional approach,
sure.
if you will,
Absolutely. Thank you for that great question. I'll say it depends also on the context. A lot of times I'll come up, I'll just kind of sit there and I'll be like, well, this sounds kind of neat. Maybe something like this. And then I'll record myself doing that, and then I'll start to think of a melody over top. If it's just going to be me, I'll explore that and kind of build it in pieces. When I come back to Canada next week, the very first day I go back, there's a singer with Universal Canada that I'm going to be doing a song. I play shows with her in Canada, but she wants to write a song together the first day. I might be a little bit tired after jet lag, but I said I'd do it. That's the other thing about doing music too. Usually you might do things at the most unexpected time, or it might be like a real press for time, but I just say yes, let's just go do it, because you don't know if it'll happen again. So I'll say, like with her, it's going to be more writing lyrics together, which, you know, she'll kind of take the lead on that, and I'll kind of build the chords around it, and we can kind of shape the melody over the chords. But when it comes to instrumental music, usually I'll video myself too, and I'll record myself so I don't forget it, and I'll kind of build it up. Some songs come all at once. This song here, that one there I kind of wrote all at once, Candle Lanterns. Whereas other songs maybe came in pieces and built it over time. So it depends too. I find that traveling, meeting other musicians, talking to people, making new friends around the world is really inspiring and makes me want to write music. I'm sure when I get back to Canada the end of August, I'll probably start writing. So I haven't really wanted to write for a while, but I find after the last 5 weeks kind of traveling and meeting new people, musicians, it's been wonderful, and definitely inspired to write again. So the process, it depends. If it's for solo guitar, I like to write for violin too, where I write the melodies for it in the violin. I've got a couple of songs on my YouTube channel and independent albums, whatever, where it's guitar and violin. I got guitar and saxophone. There's a really great band in Canada called the Arkells, who's like a rock band, but the saxophone player and I have done a lot of work together. And I've even got a flute and guitar piece on the last thing I put out. So it depends the writing process. But I do like the other musician to shine if I'm working with someone. And we'll have a main melody, usually an improv section, where they can kind of bring their own touch and their own personality to the music. That's really important to me, especially playing live. And even the artist I play with, Emmanuel Jal, gives everybody in the band a chance to shine and kind of put their own touch on his music, which I think is really cool. Yeah. Okay, well, thank you. Thank you. And everybody who asked the question, I don't know if you want to come up here in a minute, though. I do have some prize giveaways from Gunn and some guitar strings and chocolate. Awake Chocolate is a company in Canada where it's caffeinated chocolate. So if anyone here is almost going to fall asleep, you might want to have one of these caffeinated chocolates. I've only got a few left. I've been giving them out. But it's equivalent to like a cup of coffee, basically. My buddy, he owns the company. We went to school together, and then he ended up starting this chocolate company. But anytime I go around, I'm like, yeah, they'll probably like chocolate, so can we get a few boxes? Where we're at. But it's been a real pleasure to play for you guys today. Please come down and say hi. It'd be great to chat with you as well. Thank you.